All right, get some microphone here. Hey everybody, all right. So as the title of today's, or the headline says, just play your guitar, keep it simple, and you will be rewarded. So, all right, so I guess I should explain and clarify a few things. All right, so as you know, I just posted a new video, and it was really just a question, right, to you. Are you a good guitar player? I think everybody kind of got the angle that I was going for, which wasn't, hey, look at me, am I good, No, that's not what this is about. I know where I'm at with this, okay? I'm not here to take you from level 7 to level 9. That's not me, right? I'm here to get you started and get you through the first few levels. Get you to understand that this instrument, while very difficult to learn and play, it's not as bad once you get going. And my message through my videos and also here every week is there's a lot of things that you might be judged on to decide whether or not you ever become a good guitar player or you are a good guitar player. There's a lot of things. But a lot of those things, like, we're just never going to want them, need them, use them, whatever the word is there, right? Because, look, this isn't a channel for professional guitar players to just learn that extra little thing that will put them over the top. Not at all. I've always been pretty clear that this is about showing anybody who's interested in learning guitar how I did it. And how I did it was the first 2 times, as you know, the traditional way, right? Learn my chords, basic strumming. Once I could play some chords, learn strumming patterns, put a metronome on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and sit there for hours doing this. Great, no problem. Where they lost me was when I could barely kind of do that, because I had no private instruction, I guess. I was just learning like everybody here, people like me coming up on your feed. And it lost me because it made me think that, or feel, before I was ready, that is, that if I didn't start learning my bar chords or my power chords, or, whatever you want to play, power chords or triads or, whatever, then I'm not a good guitar player. And of course, when we're starting out, we desperately want to be a good guitar player. We want people to say, hey, hey, you're good. But the reality is, it takes an awful long time to be considered that, right? So that's why I threw it out there on that video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Is how do you know if you're good or I'm good or whatever? But again, I wasn't saying I'm good, look at me, not at all. What I'm saying is, I don't know if I'm any good, all right? And remember, there's always someone better. There's always someone better. So, you know, that analogy that I used about the golfing, right? And how there are people that are good golfers and they beat everybody that they know, and they go to their local golf course and they're always the winner. They always beat everybody. And when you walk into the clubhouse, they say, "Hey, Ray, you're a great golfer," right? Okay. And then someone shows up that you play and they beat the tar out of you. Wasn't even close. All right. So all of a sudden, "Hey, Ray, you're crap." You see what I might see my point? All right. No matter who you are, there's always someone better. And an example of that, right, is for those of you that read a lot of like musicians' biographies, a lot of you my age, and you want to read about stuff, bands that were hot when you were a kid, you know, and you read all their stories and the backstories. Well, there's one story that I've come across told different ways, but it's all the same thing, of a group of musicians. Now, the names may differ, but George Harrison, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, you know, guitarists that cut their teeth in England, right? And the story goes that they all met at this club one night, or they happened to be at this club one night, and there was a new guitar player from America there, and they're all checking him out, thinking, right, that they were going to, "Hello, everybody," thinking that they were going to ridicule this guy and laugh him off the stage, and, "Hey, we're the king around here." And it turned out that person, because they were the kings, right? They were the best guitar players around, and that person's name was Jimi Hendrix. And the story goes that they basically just stopped and looked at each other, and the undercurrent thing that wasn't said that should have been said was, "I don't know what we're doing here, boys, but I think we need to be heading back and doing some more practice." Okay? So, look, the idea of that video, I can't get my messages. I'm sitting too far away. So I'm going to try to bring it up on my phone. And that way I can, if there's anything important, I can respond to you guys. I don't know why it is. I've got to use this iPad for now. I'm not a lefty, by the way, just so you know. I'm a righty. And let me just see if I can get to, where are we here? YouTube, where are we? Okay. Me, live. Oh, I see. Okay, that's how it works. All right, home. There we go. All right. So now let's turn that down. All right, so now I think I can see your... Hey, Jimmy Buffett. That's an interesting story. Talk about someone who made a fortune out of 3 chords, right? And that's perfect, because that's the theme of today,
Starting
right?
tomorrow, this simple water hack can change your life. You may not know this.
If you're starting out and you're just getting going with this, again, don't make it, don't overcomplicate it like I did. Well, twice, all right? Don't do that, because anybody knows that my message every week is the same. Don't get caught up in all these terribly complicated, sophisticated guitar techniques that social media makes you believe that you have to do, okay? And I'm also going to show you today, we're just going to talk through like some of the things that you see, right? If anybody out there right now that's listening is guilty of that, don't worry about it. Join the club, because I was too. Again, not once, but twice, okay? Remember that the only thing... Let me just get this here. Sorry, people. I just want to get my message. I know you guys are sending messages, and I can't see them. So I want to make sure. There we go. All right, Curtis, like you. All right. Hi, Jeff. Yeah, he was. He was, and it's a very interesting story. Um, and he also made some. I don't know if you guys know this, but he also made someone a lot of money by the name of Steve Goodman. Now, Steve Goodman was really not a household name. I never heard of him when I was growing up and in through the '80s. Well, Steve Goodman was a buddy and collaborator with someone by the name of John Prine, and they were buddies. And Arlo Guthrie was it? Oh, I'm sorry. Arlo Guthrie recorded one of Steve Goodman's songs, and I'm going to say it was "Riding on the City of New Orleans," right? And I believe Jimmy Buffett. It's a great song called "Banana Republic." Now, it's about a bunch of people that are in this tropical island and they're all like, running from something, or they're tax evaders, or they're war evaders, or they're criminals, or whatever they are. And I believe it's called Banana Republic, and it's by Steve Goodman. But I believe Jimmy Buffett was the person that recorded it and made it mainstream. And it's a great song. If you haven't heard it, check it out. Um, so it was an interesting story for sure. And it's funny, when I was younger, I used to get him confused with Warren Buffett. I thought they were the same people. So I thought that Warren Buffett was this big billionaire dude investor that also played guitar. And it's not a joke. I thought that for the longest time until I realized, there's two different things. But yeah, I mean, what, Wasting Away in Margaritaville? I mean, what a simple song, but what a song, right? So that doesn't that tell you or prove to you exactly what I've been telling you all along? Is that you don't have to be fancy, you don't have to be complicated, you don't have to have all the cutting edge chords and play them in weird ways and strange ways and difficult ways in order to succeed. You don't. And I mean, again, I kind of prove that, Um, I'm thinking about putting on my touring shoes again. I've had a long time ago, I sent out a list, which I used to do once or twice a year. I sent out a electronic press kit to a bunch of bars, clubs, whatever, pubs that are looking for individual performers, coffee shops, bistros, whatever, you name it. And I send a little thing, and it has clips of me playing and singing and stuff like that. And then COVID hit and everything, and I don't know, I just lost interest, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. And lately, I don't know why, I've been getting these responses from that last email that I sent out. I'm going to say 2022. And I started getting a couple of, "Hey, how you doing? Yeah, we're just reaching out." And I wrote back, I said, "You do realize that this is like 3 years old?" "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that. I'm reaching out to see if you're still interested." And then I had another one that did know it was 3 years old, and they said, "I was just wondering if you're still available. We have a small little blah 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 blah." And I've been saying no, and I'm kind of thinking maybe get back into it. But my point of all this is, okay, you can sit down and you can entertain with the best of them. Okay? Entertaining is not just about guitar playing. For me, it's probably the weakest link, right? Entertaining is about playing the right songs to the right people, making them sound right, getting, how would you say it? Playing your instrument well enough, well, to get by, okay? And I mean, what does that mean? Well, it just means you're doing okay. Now, can someone say the same about Jimmy Buffett or Chris Christopherson or Johnny Cash? Or they don't do anything complicated. They just play, for the most part, open chords. But it's the voice, it's the lyrics of the songs, it's the timing, it's the person, it's everything. And of course, the fact is they do play their guitar, even though simplistic, they play it very well. And that, again, is what it's all about, right? So what I did, or this is for those of you that are starting to build a song repertoire and maybe you want to go out and do some gigs. What I started to do was look at some of the famous chord progressions, right? And see that they come up over and over again. So I started to do that. And I'm just going to take a look at some of them right now. So, we have A minor, F, C, G, A minor. However you play it. Quick. Right? Or spaced out. So if you learn how to play this, you can slot in all kinds of songs, right? So the next one that I find comes up quite a bit is no matter where you start, it's the same 4 chords, right? So some songs might start on the E minor, C, D, G. So we'll go E minor, C, G, or D. Now, if we take these chords and play them differently, we get a little different flavor. But look, I'm not doing anything difficult. This is like beginner's practice over and over again. Right? Now we could add different strum patterns. Same chord progression, we could play it like this. Okay? We could do all that. Play it over and over again in different ways. And if you were to do that every night for a couple of weeks with these different chord progressions. D, A minor, or A, sorry, B minor, and G. D, A, B minor, and G. D, A, B minor, and G. Those are for when you get a little bit more advanced, right? You throw in that bar chord, that 1 bar chord. But that there is a huge, huge chord progression. And then, of course, anything G, C, and D, right? So anything. So you could do something like da 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 da. Okay, we know that one. Okay, there's all kinds of G, C, D with the E minor. Then we've got G, C, D, A minor, G, C, D, A minor. For the dog, westbound 747. Da 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 da. can go on and on and on. And nothing I have done here is anything that anybody watching couldn't do. I mean, that's the deal here. Like, yeah, I played one bar chord because when you get to a certain part in your journey and you're starting to build a repertoire of songs, you're going to find that B minor comes up quite a bit. And I ignored it for a while and everything, and I just went around it and played different songs. But at the end of the day, that B minor comes up. So I learned it, right? But again, there's nothing here. Now we could even go this. F, C, G, C, F, G, C, F, G, C, F, G, F, C, F, G. Later on a Sunday and my heart stood still. To run, 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 do run, run. Somebody told me that her name was Jill. To run, 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 do run, run, yeah. Hey, when she brought me home. Hey, da 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 da. Hey, when you walked me home. Do 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 do. Da 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 bam bam. Da 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 da. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do with the same few chords. And again, if you watched my strumming and the playing here, it, I didn't do anything, right? So again, before we get into all these complicated things, this is where it's at. Especially, as I always say, my following is comprised of people 45 and over. Pure and simple, okay? And that tells me that you're starting late in life, like I did, right? And that tells me, unfortunately, guys and girls, that even if you want to, you're probably never going to realize what you have to kind of accomplish to be considered a really, really good guitar player. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying that the earlier you start, the better it is, right? Hello. The earlier you start, uh, I don't know who's Dave Brubeck. Is that supposed to be? Is that a shot at me or something? Is who's Dave Brubeck? So I really don't know who that is, but uh, yeah, there's nothing wrong with small hands. Kids have small hands. Some girls have small hands. Guys have small hands. That shouldn't dictate anything about your guitar playing. It's just that you will find for certain kinds, if you go there, certain kinds of chords that demand a 4 fret spread. I have a hard time doing it. I have a hard time, playing that four fret spread on the A minor pentatonic, both here and here. Like it's difficult. Um, you know, you have to kind of realize where you're at and what your goal is. And again, I say this all the time. If you're like me and your goal is, I just want to play songs. I just want to play songs. That's it. If that's your goal, right? This is all you need. You need to learn and polish all your open chords, learn the F cheater as your ninth open chord, even though it's technically played this way, a triad. Played this way, it's kind of got a few things going on. It's not a triad because we're playing more than 3 strings, but we're still playing the same notes. But however you decide to play, I mean, you could there's a full bar chord. So there's a full F major bar chord, and I've explained how that works before. But that's this chord right here is the same as playing this. Okay, it's the exact same thing. You could just heard it. It's the exact same thing. Okay. Some people find this easier to play like this, but generally, I recommend the F triad, which is very similar to a C shape. We leave our forefinger on that C note on the B string, first fret, and we just move these 2 fingers down 1 string. So now we have that effect of 3 notes over 3 strings over 3 frets. Okay, 3, 3, and 3. And there's our F triad. We only strum those strings that we actually fret. So that gets us around this. And as a beginner, that's huge because I didn't know about this F when I started. So when I got to the point of playing songs after maybe, a few months, starting to play basic campfire songs, and then when I added that 4th chord, it was either A minor or E minor. I was okay with that. And I didn't know my D minor at the time, but then all of a sudden this F started coming in. F, F, F. This song has an F in it. This song has an F in it. This song has an F sharp in it. This song has an F sharp minor in it. And it just started to get a lot. So I would just skip those songs. I never bothered with them. And so there was a lot of good songs that I really wanted to play that I couldn't because they had an F in them, right? Then I found that F triad. And I'm like, beautiful. I can play F now. So that put F back into play. Right? Okay. There are workarounds for everything if you don't want to play bar chords, but you're still going to have to learn a new fingering. So remember when we're starting out, right? We learn how to finger. Every open chord is completely different. We know that. We've done that, right? So now all of a sudden we're asked to play a B minor. Let's just use that as an example. We're asked to play a B minor. And we think that the only way to play the B minor is to do this, okay? Well, of course, we could play it here too, but it's just, it's still a bar chord. There's your B minor, right? And we find that a little difficult, and rightly so, because now your whole concept of playing is turned upside down, right? So you're used to having your hand like this, seeing everything that's going on. Oh, it's really simple. Now all of a sudden, whoop, we're doing this. Now it's a whole different ball game, okay? And quite frankly, it sucks. Some of us, it only sucks for a while. But just like anything else that I've always talked about, driving a car, playing golf, playing tennis, learning how to cook, learning how to knit, learning how to sew, learning how to work with wood, learning how to be a plumber, right? We all suck at the beginning at everything we do. And then it's just a matter of how bad do we want it? How much time do we want to put into it? That decides whether or not we get any better and how good we get. Well, this is the same thing, okay? We're doing the same thing. So at this stage, right, I decided I was going to learn the B minor. Okay, it took a while. I'm not going to lie. It took a while. It was a little uncomfortable, but it was the first bar chord I ever learned. And there's a video somewhere on my channel that shows you how I break in new bar chords, how I learn them. I learn them one at a time. Because remember, why I do this is you don't have to sit there and know every single bar chord. You just got to know the one shape, and then you got to know where to move it. So what I mean by that is, okay, so if I learn a B minor, right? So what I'm really learning here, yes, I'm learning the B minor, but I'm also learning, or I am learning, the shape required to play the B minor, right? Which is basically the A minor shape, right? There's my A minor, played with different fingers. So if I do this, there's my A minor. Now if I move this up, okay, there's my B minor. If I add the bar, same thing, right? So that's all I'm doing here. There's my B minor. And what I do is I go back to the B minor, and I just go to and from every open chord that I know how to play to a B minor. Whether or not they're ever going to happen, like some chords don't follow other chords. Like, do you ever go from a B minor to an E major or an E major to a B minor? Not bad. I just don't think I've come across it in a song yet, but I'm sure it does exist. So, but regardless, I go from every open chord that I can play to my new bar chord. Now remember, I said that I learned a B minor, but what I did really was I just learned the shape. Now it all depends on where I put that. Is it a B minor? So right now it's a B minor. But if I was to start from scratch and go like this, well, it's a B minor, but now it's a C sharp minor based on where I decided to put the bar and play the chord, right? So now I learned B minor, but now I can apply that to anything. Oh, D minor? Okay, I think it's right here. There's my D minor, right? E minor, right here. Same shape as the B minor. So when I started to look at it that way, everything it was so much easier, because now the pressure of, when I first looked at it, I had to learn all these E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, but they're all the same shape as I move up and down the neck. All I had to do was watch this string and tell me what note I was on. That's why they always say that you should learn the notes on these two strings first, especially this one, because we normally learn our bar chords with the E shape first. So this is the string that dictates what actual chord you're playing. So I really only learned B minor, but now all of a sudden, depending on where I put it, I could be playing an E minor, a D minor, right? That's an E minor. This is an F minor. This would be an F sharp minor. There's a G minor. There's an A minor. You see? But it's the same shape. And you do that for the E as well. There's your E shape, right? So there's your E bar chord. Now, that happens to be an F sharp, or it could have been an F. Okay, now I don't have to worry about, well, how do I play an A bar chord? All I had to worry about was, can I get under here and make that shape? Can I get under here and make that shape? Then it's just a matter of where I'm going to make it. It's the same shape. So if I make it here, it's an F. If I make it here, it's an A. Have a nice day. Right? So that made it less intimidating for me. Right? So now if you really want to not play bar chords, no problem. And what you're going to need is triads, right? Now, again, learn them as you need them basis. So don't go, triads are way more complicated to learn than bar chords. They may be easier to play and all that, I get it, but they're complicated because they're played over sets of 3 strings, and there's 1, 2, and 3. So there's shapes that you play. I'm not going to do a triad lesson here, but there's shapes that you can play, right, that use that string set. So in this case, this here would be there's my C, D, E, F, G. Okay, great. Now, if that was a bar chord, I'd be done. I know all the shape, I know everything on that line, but that's not. Then I have to also know this shape. There's another triad shape. Oh, then I got to know this shape, okay? You see what I mean? It just goes on. And then you got to learn it for 2, 3, and 4. Not so, right? So it's a different than 1, 2, and 3. So on 2, 3, and 4, you know, you have different shapes that you play. It's not easy, okay? Uh, it's not easy, but it's easy if you know what I mean. It's like one of those things that when you look at it, you go, oh my God, that's just too much in my brain. But once you know it, then you look back and go, oh, ugh. Yeah, so it's just one of those things. Me personally, if I was guiding you, I wouldn't even worry about triads until you're at the back end of your journey, meaning you've built your guitar foundation, all those things I talk about. You're getting good, your strumming is good, you got confidence, you feel like a good guitar player, everything is working for you. Now you can stop and say, okay, let's take a look at the triads. And you'll find that the shapes come easier because you have better fingering. Yeah, there's always, like, when I learned this triad here, which is like this shape of triad, I found that very difficult at first, right? But then all of a sudden, you know, I was able to go from one to the other. You know, I could go like this, and I could go like this, and I could go like this, and I could go like this. Like, it started to come together, and it wasn't that difficult. Why? Because I've already got like a good foundation. Now, if I had started this in week 12 or month 7, forget it. So take my advice on that. Leave the triads. So where I was going with this point is, if you don't want to learn this, okay, or this, then you're going to have to learn a replacement. So it's going to be something different than you're used to playing, because you just learned your open chords, right? A, C, D, E, E minor, F, G, A minor, right? Now you're asked to learn something new. So we could play a B minor here, right here, a triad over these 3 strings. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3 frets. Just play those strings, there's your B minor. And with these types of triads like this, look, if I take my finger and go like that, there's my B minor, my real B minor. So they're all related. It's all incestuous, okay? They're all with each other. So you still got to learn this. Now, this might look like an easy way to play your B minor, easier than this. But when you're in the heat of the moment, right, and you got to go, okay? I played a better B minor doing that than I did here, because my finger muted out one of the strings. So don't think it's easy to avoid bar chords. Oh, I'll just avoid bar chords. Sometimes the chord that you got to learn to avoid the bar chord is harder to play than the bar chord itself, right? Now, for those of you out there that are looking down on us, right, because you know all this and you're going, hey man, don't be lazy, just play the bar chord. Well, okay, great, you're right. But some of us just can't. Right? Some of us have weird fingers. Some of us are over 60 or 70, and it doesn't work as good. So we either don't play them, we find a way to replace them, or we play them differently. Like, a lot of people often say to me, like, when they see me play a B minor like this, or an F sharp, they say, Ray, you're actually playing a G here with that finger. And in a way, they're right. I'm right on the fret line because of the way, look at my finger, the way it curves like that. I can't get it to go straight. That's just the way it is. So in order for me to go straight, I got to turn my whole wrist to get that finger to go straight. We all have our little things. And when I do that, it hurts like heck. Okay, it hurts my wrist, and it puts a lot of tension, right? There's that word again, tension, which we're going to get to next. And it just is not a good thing for me. So I found that by cheating over here over the fret line like this, it may not look right, but it sure sounds right. I mean, I played this B minor with other people. I played it to backing tracks, and like, it works. It's not a big deal, right? So remember, if you want to replace your bar chords, you can do that, but you're going to have to replace them with a triad. And a triad is 3 notes over 3 strings. Simple. There's none of this. There's no 6-string triads or 4, 5-string triads like there are open chords. There are 3 notes over 3 strings, and that's all you play. Okay? So it's well worth learning. Some people swear by them, and some people, they are just another version of a horrible bar chords. Like the people just say, I don't want any part of triads. I'll leave that up to you. Okay? I use them, and I learned them as a need-to-know basis. And here's, again, most of you know this because you've been watching for a while, but here are some of the most common triads I use, right? Yes. So yes, the root, the third, and the fifth. Now you don't have to play them in that order, but that's where the shapes come in. That's why there are 3 different shapes of triads along the same set of strings, is because one of them, for example, this shape here, okay, puts the root note. This is the proper triad. The proper triad plays exactly what you just said. The first, the third, and the fifth in that order from me down the guitar. In other words, from the lowest note to the highest note. Okay? Hey, Harry, how are you, buddy? Right? So this is the actual proper version of the G triad played with this shape. 2 back fingers here and 1 finger here. That's how I play it. Some people I see play it like this. I'm not comfortable that way. I like to have this finger doing nothing. So there's the G note on my ring finger. So now, if I want to know where I'm going, right, I just follow my ring finger. There's the F, there's the E, there's the D, there's the C, there's the B, flat, right? That's what I do. That's one shape. Then you have another shape that's like this. Well, now the root note is actually this finger here. It's the second note. It's not the one closest to me. That would be an inversion. All right, so just on any shape of triad, when the root note, number 1, so if it's a G, the one note is G. When that G is the lowest note, closest to you, closest to the big string, and then the second note, the third, so in that case would be a B, right, is the second note, which is it is here. There's the second note, B, and then the last note would be the 5th note, right? And it's right here, the D. When you play that shape, you are playing a proper triad. And then there's 2 other shapes, right? For the both inversions. And that's why triads are a little complicated. But some people find them a lot easier. Because now they're saying, okay, well, I don't have to play my G this way. I could play it this way. Or I could play it this way. And they're right. And you get a slightly different voicing each way you play it. And then you multiply that. That's only the major chords. Then you multiply that by how many string sets there are. So that's 1 string set, and 2, 3, and 4 would be 2. 3, 4, and 5 would be 3. 4, 5, and 6 would be 4. So there are 4 string sets. Each one will have 3 major shapes and 3 minor shapes, plus other things. We're just talking major, minor. I'm not talking diminished and 7th and suspendeds and all that stuff, right? But it just goes on forever. You got to stop it somewhere, especially at our age. These are things this is what I mean by, does this make you a good guitar player, knowing all this stuff and being able to do it? Well, of course it does. But can you not do this and still be considered a good guitar player? And I believe you can. I know you can. Right? let's take Jimmy Buffett. That's how we started the show. Someone said, "Oh, I'm reading a book about Jimmy Buffett." Do you see him knock? I'm sure somewhere down the road. Do you see him or John Prine or Johnny Cash or Christofferson? All these people, do they play all in triads and stuff? I think you'll find the answer is no. And I think you'll find that the answer is similar to what I tell you I do, which is if I need it, I'll play one triad in that chord progression. That's it. And it's usually to replace a bar chord, or it's because I like the sound of it better, right? So a perfect example of that, and then we'll kind of get off the triads. A perfect example of that is one of the most difficult bar chords that I have ever encountered. A lot of people call it this, right? That's right, Etoile. You're absolutely right. And I know that Etoile means star. So I'm thinking you're pretty good. But no, you're right. And you're absolutely right. And that's why I even say when we talk about chords in a key, I always say just worry about the 6 chords. 1, 4, and 5 is major in a major key, and 2, 3, and 6 is minor. Don't even think about the diminished. That's the 7th chord. Okay, don't worry about seventh chords and all that kind of stuff, and minor sevenths and all. Don't worry about that. There's all kinds of time, and when you're at that point, you're gonna laugh because the only difference in a lot of these chords is where you put your ring finger or your pinky. You add a pinky, you take a ring finger off, you add a ring finger somewhere else, and then it becomes a different chord, and it's so easy. But for now, you're right. Major and minor is where it's at. Okay? If you know your majors and minors, you can play anything. And then you add a capo into the mix, forget about it. Okay? This is your best buddy since sliced bread. I don't care what anybody says. Right? This little device here, whoever invented this, they should be. Okay? Now, if I'm in a group with sophisticated jazz guitar players that really think that there's something, they're going to laugh at me, they're going to ridicule me, and that's okay. But if you can play at 40 years old, 45 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old, if you can play your, as Etoile says, your major chords and your minor chords, any way you want to play them, major chords, minor chords, and you add a capo into the mix, now there's nothing you can't do. Okay? So, right? All right. So remember, I'll just show you quickly what triads I use the most and why. And then we will talk a little bit about the capo, all right? And about chords and keys and things like that. But yeah, capos are very useful. That's right. That's right, Jeff. I posted that way back on Howard Stern show. He goes, "Hey man, I don't play bar chords." He goes, "I know how to play a few, but he goes, I'm not playing them on stage." And that's been my attitude, not because of Bruce Springsteen. But once I realized, you know what? Like everybody's going on about all these bar chords. I'd been playing twice for a year each time. I quit both times because of bar chords. And when I realized, I'm like, am I the only person that's like, I thought I was wrong because remember, part of not being a lifelong musician when you learn an instrument, it doesn't have to be guitar, any instrument, there's always a bit of self doubt in your head that you really shouldn't have that opinion or you really don't know what you're really talking about because you haven't grown up with it. It's not part of you like it is with people that grew up as musicians or in musical families or played as a kid and all that stuff, right? And for the longest time, I thought, this is just weird. I don't need these bar chords. Why am I killing myself? And why am I getting to the point where they make me not sound good every time I pick up my guitar, which made me want to quit, which made me quit, right? So rest assured, you do not need bar chords to enjoy thoroughly your guitar, especially at our level, right? You don't need it. Okay, so here's the triads that I use to replace some bar chords, okay? So I use this triad right here, okay, which is basically your C. Leave your pointer on that C note right here, B string, first fret, that's a C. Leave it there, and then take from the C shape, we have that gap, that one string gap, that open string, which makes it an open chord. Take these two fingers and just cover that open string. So now we have 3 fingers playing 3 notes, you guessed it, over 3 different frets. There's our triad. Now, there's our F replacement. There's our F bar chord. There's our F replacement. We slide that up 2 and play, here's the kicker, only those 3 strings. Don't do this. You might like the sound of it, but you're not playing the chord you're supposed to be playing. F, G, A, B, C, C, okay, D, E, all the way up. All right, so this is actually one of my favorite ways to play an A chord. Here's the usual way. You can hear there was no pitch change. It's just a different octave. It's lower here, but the pitch is the same. It's one of my favorite ways right there to play an A chord, okay? Now what I'll even do is I'll mix that in with an open chord progression with A in it. So let's say it's G, A, D. I'll play G. I think it just sounds cool. So that's how I use that triad, right? I move it up accordingly. And I really like, and especially picking, for all you arpeggiators and just learning to pick your notes, but you don't know scales and you don't really know what you're doing, just arpeggiate the chords. So if you have this triad in the A position like this, just pluck the strings individually, in any order. I think you'll enjoy what it sounds like. Hey, Red got a guitar. Nice. You made a good choice. I think Jeff will be more of an expert about that, but you've made a solid choice. Okay, those are very, very well-rounded guitars. You made a good choice. So good for you. It's the greatest feeling in the world. It doesn't happen that often because of, obviously, they're big ticket items. And at the end of the day, when you buy a guitar, you got a guitar. But somewhere down the line, you buy a second one. And then somewhere down the line, you buy a third one. And it goes on. And those moments are just magical. Now, I set out to buy my first guitar. I was going on a mission, and I was not coming home without one. But every guitar I've bought after that have been more spontaneous. Right. Yeah, I agree, Jeff. You know what? I've played Yamaha guitars worth $300, and I've played them worth, $1,800, and they're all good, but they're solid guitars, and they can take a bit of a beating, like if you're not the like me, I don't baby my guitars. I bump into them, I pound them, I play them. I do regular maintenance. I change the strings, I set it up once a year or whatever, but I'm not one of these, oh, don't breathe on my guitar guys types, and Yamahas are great for that too, right? So that's the only thing, Randy, is when you, yeah. I mean, this is a pretty good guitar, but it needs work, and I keep delaying. I got to take it in. I've got to get the guy. I got to get it all redone. I need some frets here, first few frets. I got fret wear. I need I need to get some action. I got my neck's a little bit, okay. Um, but when you go somewhere, like you just did, and you pick up a guitar and it's nice action, and you go, oh, it's yeah, it's a tough feeling. What are you gonna do? I guess it's like women, right? We're always happy, but then maybe after a while, are we looking at a replacement? Did I just say that? And I meant no harm, because I'm sure you women do the same thing to us, right? Um, hey, pushing whatever you're pushing arc. I don't know if Clapton's God, but he's pretty good for sure. Uh, yeah, I know, eh? I wish you lived closer, Jeff. Uh, I'm afraid if I go over to the States, I'll end up in El Salvador or something. What are you going to do? All right. So that's one triad that I use. And it started only because I wanted to replace my F major bar chord. And then I found out, wow, sounds cool all the way up. Hey, I like that. All right. The next triad that I use to replace bar chords, because I was saying before, this wasn't my nemesis. It was at first. I like it every time. Any bar chord you look at the first time is hugely scary, right? But it wasn't for me for some reason, even though I ignored it and never played it. But this one right here, this one right here, this is my kryptonite, okay? Now, for those of you that don't know what kryptonite is, grab a Superman comic. Now, there's my kryptonite, is that B major bar chord. Now, if I play it, my success rate is probably 7 out of 10. So if I'm playing something and I have to go to a B, I hold my breath, grab the side rails, fasten my seatbelt, and hold on. And I get what I get, okay? And I admit it, and I've never gotten any better. When I first learned it, I was hitting them maybe 5 or 6 out of 10. The other 5 or 6 were clunkers, and I've never really improved. Really, okay? So, and I don't mind admitting it. So what I did to try and improve, and it just does work. I mean, this is pretty easy, simple way to play it, okay? Using this finger to fret those 3 strings of the A as you slide it over and replace it with your bar. There's your B bar chord, right? All right. Sounds easy. Let's do it. Well, you know what? So then I started adding the pinky. Now this allowed me to use 2 fingers to fret those 3 strings. Now those of you that have that big knuckle with the long fingers, first of all, you make me sick, okay? But you have that big space from that knuckle to the end of your fingers, and you just flatten it out like that, and it just perfectly covers those 3 strings. Okay, I don't like you, all right? I could never do that. That's where the whole small finger thing probably came in. And sometimes I gotta, like, I put it on an angle a little bit. That seems to help. But then it pulls this finger over to, it's a nightmare for me, okay? So by adding that second finger, it kind of helped. I will admit, right? And of course, I can always play the B major here, but that's not always practical if you're doing this. You gotta slide all the way down. All right, so what do? I use this triad. Okay, so let's do a E, A, B, right? So E, A, to the E, now to the B. That's what I do. So all I did there, I know most of you know this, but all I did there was I took an A major chord, which you could play like this. And in guitar theory or music theory, what happens when you go up 2 frets? That's one whole step. You're going from A to B. Okay? So if this is an A, and I go here, and I play the exact same strings, just the 3. It's very important. Don't do this. That don't work. That don't work. Just those 3 that you're fretting. Now I got a B major triad. So now all of a sudden, I don't have to do this. Okay? Now if this is a B major triad, this is a B flat right there. And there's another tricky one. B flat. Replaced with one finger. B, C, D, E, F, G. That triad I use all the time to replace my bar chords, or that type of bar chord. So really that's the extent. Like, it's very rare you're going to see me play G, C, like that, D. It's very rare you're going to see me play like that. I'll play it like this. G, C, D. Right? Or I might play it like this. G, C, D. Or G, C, D. Right? Some of you can't get down there or up there because you don't have a cutaway. I get it. Or you might have a shorter scale guitar. Get it? But that's another thing I might do. But for the most part, this one here was my savior. When I figured this out, and it was by accident, right? That this is the same as this. I mean, look, there's a tiny difference. All right, I don't want to go and explain everything about how chords are made. But all we're doing, the only difference here, is by playing our B this way as opposed to this way. The only difference we're doing is we're not playing the B here in the bass. We're not playing this B. That's it. Because that's all a B chord is. That note, okay? It's not really a bar chord. I mean, it is, but the function of this finger is to get that note right there. That's it. Then these 3 strings are covered by these fingers. There's our B major. Take that away, you still got a B major. It might be a little higher, but it's still a B major. So that's how I use triads, okay? And of course, the other way to enhance your playing is the capo. So you can take all your open chords and feel confident and comfortable in playing the ones you play best, but if you use a capo, you don't have to play in other keys what those chords are that you may not play best. So the best way to explain it or to show it would be, I like using examples in the key of E, because E is a very difficult chord to play as a beginner, right? Because, obvious reasons, there's only 2 open chords in it. So therefore, when I started out, and a lot of people started out, any song they wanted to learn in the key of E, you're done. You can't play it. Well, think of the E 12-bar blues, right? You got E, you got A, back to the E, then you got the B, which we've replaced, right? Before I learned that triad, I couldn't play any 12-bar blues in the key of E because I couldn't play that B major bar chord. There's songs everywhere. You know, there's a video on my site where I've shown you the song, the big Journey song, you know, just a small town girl, right? Okay, so that's in the key of E. Now let's look at the key of E, right? So we have E, the second chord right off the bat. The second chord is F sharp minor. There's a bar chord right off the bat, okay? Then we got to go to G sharp minor. Then we go to A, and we're right here. So we usually just play the A as a bar chord, but you don't have to. You could go back to the A, okay? Then you got B minor, or sorry, B major, right? E, F, G, A, B, right? So we, in this case, E major, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, and B. So 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the first, 3 out of the first 4 chords, 3 out of the first 5 are all bar chords, right? Then you would have your B, then you'd have your C sharp minor, which is here, which is that, remember that B minor that we learned? We just put it here instead of there, right? So again, here's the chords in the key of E. E, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, B, C sharp minor, right? And then you have your D diminished, which nobody goes to. So it's a challenging key. So if we take our capo and we put it on 4, right? Okay. Now, our C chord becomes our E chord. Now, I'm sure you know why, but I'm just going to do quickly. I'm playing a C, but I have a capo on 4. So what am I really playing? Okay. All you got to do is count the open frets on the other side of the capo. So let's start at C, and we use the musical alphabet. C sharp would be the first fret if the capo was there. D would be the second fret. D sharp, third. Fourth is E. So this C is an E. So if I play this, take this capo off, and play this, it's the same chord. But now I get to play C instead of E, which maybe not be a big deal. But this next few are. So, da, 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 da. There's my G. Now what am I really playing here? Well, I'm playing a G sharp, an A sharp, I'm playing a B. So by playing C to the G, I'm actually playing E right? I'm playing E, right, to a B. Sorry. So I'm playing E, right? Sorry, my mistake. Get confused sometimes. So now I'm playing C and G, which I know how to play since day one, and I'm really playing an A and an E and a B. That's the beauty of this, right? So now we have capo 4, right? We've replaced all those ugly chords with da 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 da, A minor, da da da, F da da da, da 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 da. Now we have the framework of a very popular song that we can play without the G sharp minor, right? And the B whatever, and the F whatever, whatever. And if you also remember when we started the show, we talked about some basic chord progressions, and lo and behold, that was one of them, right? That we can play. So not only can you play it in the open position, but you can play it anywhere you want to put a capo, and it changes the key everywhere. That's why capos are amazing. For the people that say, you're just cheating yourself because you're being lazy and you're this and you're that, again, you're kind of right, but I really don't care because I'm not in this to become a well-known professional musician in a touring band. I really don't care what anyone thinks of me. I'm in this, like most of you, so that I can enjoy this instrument, play some music, and play my favorite songs, and write some songs, and sing some songs. That's what I'm into it for. So if I use a capo, I use a capo. If I don't, I don't. I really don't care. Okay? Oh, someone needs a fret job. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed a few of those messages, but I think I got the basic gist of it. Is that yeah, fretware. So that look, Jeff will know better than me, but the way it was explained to me is the fret wire, the metal that they use is very very soft, right? Hey Lex, how are you, buddy? The metal is very soft, and as open cowboy chord beginner players, whatever you want to call us, okay, constantly, constantly. Think of how much you play your guitar and you fret those same chords over and over again. So you're pressing wire into wire basically. You're placing wire into soft metal. It's almost like a cheese cutter effect. You got these steel wound strings pressing down into a very soft metal. Now, my guy told me the last time I was there, he warned me, he goes, you're going to need this year, you're going to need frets. And uh, he said, and Jeff, maybe you can affirm this or not. He said that there there are options. You can get a frets that are a stronger metal, and they won't wear as fast. So I don't know if that's right or not. And the other thing I would ask about that is, would it affect my tone? Like, would it make things sound a little different if that metal is harder than the soft metal? I'm just throwing that out there. Uh, fret jobs fret jobs are not easy. They're not cheap. I'm not saying they're not easy. I'm not saying they're easy or not easy. I'm saying they're not cheap. Fret jobs are not cheap. I think I was quoted about $700 for this much of my guitar. So one, two, three, about $100 a fret, somewhere around there. That's Canadian money. So I think I just saw. Yeah, that's a dilemma, right? Because when it gets to that point, you're right. If like, I don't know what you've got and what how you look at this, but if you look at it this way, in that, okay, I bought a guitar for $700 or $800 or $600 or 550 or whatever it is in that price range, and then someone says to you a few years later, okay, well now you need, you got to do this. It's going to be $700. In a way, well, okay, this will be my campfire guitar, you know, that I can throw in the back of the Jeep and have a nice day, and I really don't care about it. And I'll just go out and I'll take that money, maybe even add 100 or 2 to it, and get a brand new guitar with brand new frets. Yeah, so is that what they are? Stainless steel, I guess they're putting in, or stainless, some sort of stainless metal. Yeah, Randy, that doesn't. Now, if you've got a $4,000 guitar, it's a little different. Wouldn't you agree? Like, okay, so I'm not going to go out and buy a free two or five or $1,800 guitar. I'll spend the $500 to get the frets done, and I got a new guitar in a way, right? So that's a way to look at it. But yeah, if it depends where you're at with it. But I definitely have to do mine. I'm dreading it, but yeah, yeah, you're right, Randy. So, I mean, you could get a $50 setup with your new frets, right? If he's filed them a little bit, you probably had to lower the action, I would assume, right? You could just have that action lowered and deal with the frets. I mean, look, I not this guitar, but that guitar there, when I had the first three done way back. And I mean, I'm gonna be honest, they were grooved like train tracks in like streetcar tracks. They were grooved. I personally don't even think I even noticed it, right? So, you know, but it's the tariffs, buddy. Tariffs. That's what's putting the prices up. Tariffs. But all right. So again, and I think someone might have mentioned that the sooner you start using a capo as an open guitar chord player, you'll take some of that pressure off those first few frets, so you won't get as much wear as quick because you start using your capo, and you're playing your C, G's, and D's here on frets 4, 5, and 6 instead of 1, 2, and 3, right? I don't know. It sounded like a good idea, but yeah, it's funny because I had signed up for a guitar workshop that put on by some place near me, and I thought, I'll go down and see what it's all about. And they said that you'd learn how to set up your guitar and all stuff, basic stuff, right? And I was all set to go, and then I found out it was electric guitars. So to heck with it, right? I don't. That's for down the line, right? I wouldn't do any work on this guitar myself, but I do have I've got another Taylor here that's lower end, and I've got a Simon and Patrick that I use as a really just a Frankenstein. Like I've tried adjusting the fretboard and turning the bolt inside and all that stuff, and just chop around on it. I would do that on that guitar, but I wouldn't do it. I would only go to a luthier for this one. But anyway, so all right. So again, the message of the day here, whether we're buying or fixing guitars or getting fret jobs, is look, it doesn't have to be complicated, right? So if you're just starting out, you're just playing your first few months, you're learning your first few chords, or you've been at it a year and you don't think you're really getting anywhere. Okay? Maybe the problem is that you're trying to do too much too quick. And I always say this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. So it could be that you're just trying to do things too quick and you're trying to take on too many complicated things that I did. Bar chords, power chords, scales. Guys, girls, in your first 6 months, probably even a year for most of us, don't even look at a scale. Like, I just don't see how because even like me, okay, so I had been playing a few months and I looked at scales and I thought, how hard can this be? And it didn't take me long to be able to do the whole, whatever the scale is. It didn't take me long. Backwards, forwards, inside out, and I was actually sounding pretty good and I was getting quick. I think the big one is that. Right? Like those people in the fancy videos do. And I was getting pretty good, but I wasted a lot of time on it. And at the end of the day, I could play this thing up and down, but that's all I could do. I didn't know what the notes were. I couldn't make it sound musical. And not only that, I had no idea how to use it. I had no idea what I was supposed to do with this scale. Like, what do I do? Now what? So, this is all stuff that in your first year, don't even worry about scales and bar chords. Worry about your open chords. You will get much better quicker because every time, again, what happened to me, that I picked up my guitar, the first, believe it or not, the first few months, I was gung ho and I was making progress and I was playing simple three chord, Row Your Boat and, all those songs, right? And, and everything was going great. And then it just fell off the rails. And I realized it fell off the rails because I was trying to do things that I really didn't know and had no business learning. Bar chords, even triads, I got introduced to those, scales. It was way out of my pay grade. So what happens then? Okay, you pick up your guitar on Tuesday and you and it sounds horrible. And it may not feel good either, depending. My wrist was always sore, the back of my hands were always sore. Getting nowhere, not liking it, not liking how I'm sounding, not sounding good at all, right? And you go through this. And every day, it doesn't get really better. In fact, I thought I was getting worse the more I played at one point. So, what do? When you don't want to do something every day, you look at it and go, I'll, I'll take a day off, I'll pick it up tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, okay, one more day. Yeah, it's always good to take a break. And then 4 days later, you don't even think about it. And then a week later, you look at it and go, you know what? I'm going to take some downtime. Next thing you know, it's 3 weeks, a month, 3 months, 6 months. You're done. You ain't going back. And that's what happened to me twice because I was no good, right? So that's why I preach what I preach, because when I came back the third time for more punishment, I decided enough is enough. I want to sound good every day. I don't give a damn how simplistic it sounds. I want to sound good every day. So that's what I did. See you, Jeff. Every day. Next thing you know, started sounding good. So what happens then? Right? Awesome, Lex. Okay, so take some advice, right? Don't make the same mistake I did. Now, there are people that from day one, I remember learning the same time as this other fellow. He was kind of like just outside our inner circle. And he, hey, Larry, yeah, he's starting to play too, Ray. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, that's good. Well, the same thing happened to him, but he took a different route. So we'd only been playing maybe a month, and I knew how to play C, G, and D, basically. Okay? So he says, oh, me too, I play C, G, and D. And he showed me, and he went like this. And I was like, what's that? You're playing bar chords? And he went, yeah. Isn't that how you're supposed to do it? I go, wow, you're playing bar chords already? He goes, yeah, is that? I said, well, hey. I said, it's pretty difficult. I tried a little bit, and it was very hard. He goes, well, yeah, I kind of feel the same, but nah, I'll be okay. All right. Didn't see him for the longest time. 9, 10 months later, maybe a year later, okay, I see him. Now, by then, I'm playing kind of like this, right? Different strumming patterns or whatever, but I'm basically getting around the fretboard. Him, quit. Because what happened? He never got any better after the day I saw him. It was good for the first month, and then it went stale. And then he said I started getting these hand pains, and it was starting to be. And I said, "So what did you do?" He said, "I took up golf." So, right? So you see what I'm saying? Um, so when I came back that third time, I was determined. No scales, no bar chords, no power chords, no triads, no fancy crap. I don't care what anyone thinks of me. I don't care. I just want to play my guitar. I want it to sound good, and I want to play songs. So I just sat there every single day and I played my open chords until I got stronger and faster and better, and I transitioned quicker. And then I started to, oh, you know what? I realized it takes a lot to go from C to G, C to G, C to G. I might as well just play my G this way. A lot quicker. It made things so much easier, right? And then around that time, why am I squishing 3 fingers into that little fret, right? And then maybe have to put my pinky here to get that, what they call 7th or whatever, right? Okay, why am I doing that? Look at this. Start playing it like that. Started to make sense. Sounded good. Was easy, right? And things started to come together. And I never touched a bar chord for the longest time until, well, you know the story. B minor, stuff like that. I said, okay, got to play the B minor. So, you know, that's the whole thing. And that was the point of the video that I just released. Am I a good guitar player? Are you a good guitar player? How do we know? Well, I think personally, if you can play all your open chords and play them well, and you know how to use a capo, and you can play songs, and you have fulfilled the goal when you started of, I just want to sound good, I want to play songs, and maybe even write songs or whatever. If you've done that and you do it well, why wouldn't you be a good guitar player? You are. Nice. Nice, Fishy. That's what you got to do. You got to play every day. And it doesn't have to be fancy, and it doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to sound like, which is my last point of the day, and it's so important, right? It doesn't have to sound like all the pros that you see, all right? So in the video that I just released, am I a good guitar player? Are you a good guitar player? I point out something that is so important, because this is what happened with me. We choose to teach ourselves, okay? No problem. So of course we turn to social media, and you get guys like me or whatever showing you all these things, and it's great. No problem. Okay? Whatever you want to learn, you'll find it at any level. But what I have to really tell you about is that, look, don't get caught up in that stuff, because you don't know. You can't compare yourself. Like, what's that old saying, apples and oranges? That you can't compare an orange to an apple. They're both round, they're both fruits, but you can't compare the two, right? Okay. So I used to see these videos of these people doing these amazing things. And right away, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I'm not like that. I'm not as good as that. It doesn't sound like me. Like, it doesn't sound good when I do that. But they sound so good, right? We look at our heroes, right? Um, we look at our heroes, but that's not fair to compare, because they've been doing it all their lives and they're professionals, right? So how can we compare ourselves to that? Um, again, that's back to the golfing analogy, right? If I'm a really good golfer and I beat all my friends and everything, but then I play Tiger Woods, all of a sudden, am I that good? You see? Okay. So the other thing we see, and I used to see this a lot, was scales and bar chords. They used to put demonstrations up. Oh yeah, just do this. Oh yeah, there's your scale. Don't worry about it. And they go so fast and everything, but it sounds perfect. Then I realized something. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, I do see them using acoustic guitars, but most of those guys are using electric guitars. Ah, okay. Why is that? Well, first of all, scales and bar chords are a lot easier to play because on electric guitar, you've got your fretboard is usually a bit thinner, a bit shorter. The frets are closer together. It's easier to get your fingers around them. And not only that, with pedals and amplification, you just touch, like if you just touch that note, just touch that A and touch that C, which I always had problems with on the minor pentatonic with my pinky like that. I wasn't getting enough pressure to make it sound like a note because your pinky's weak, right? It couldn't sound like this. Where those guys just went like this, they just went, and everything sounded right. Well, because they're amplified. Makes it a little easier, right? Right? So I started doubting myself because I didn't sound like him or her. Okay? And of course, the more you learn, you start realizing, well, wait a minute. And as I sort of quickly documented in my latest video I released, was, well, wait a minute here. I could say to you folks, all right, let me show you a fancy riff or lick. Now, if we were in person, right? And you said, hey, Ray, show me something or whatever. Okay, so no problem. Then I would do this. I would say, okay, you want to learn that little walk up or walk down from G to C and whatever? There you go. All right. Now, I could make a video, and I just use that as an example, okay? Most of the stuff I'm talking about is a lot more intricate than that they put on videos. But I could do this. And it might take me 2, 3, 4 hours to get the perfect run where it sounds perfect, all the notes sound perfect, right? Then I could run it into GarageBand, change anything I don't like, add some studio effects, reverb, delay, echo, put a compressor on it, right? When I'm done with it, it could sound like Eric Clapton just played this little riff or lick or whatever it is I'm trying to teach you or show you or whatever, right? Okay. Then I could make it into a whatever, a WAV file, an MP3 or whatever, and then I could run it back through my mixer and I could sit here and go like this and make it seem like I'm playing that riff on my old-fashioned acoustic guitar with no effects and nothing. So what happens here is me watching it as a learner goes, oh man, like I'll never sound like that. Like, why am I even bothering? Now, if this hasn't happened to you, I think it will at some point. It used to happen to me all the time. And I'm comparing myself to these people. Meanwhile, what that person showed me, I have no proof that they're actually good guitar players, but I have a lot of proof that they're good content producers. And there's a big difference. I want to learn guitar. I don't want to learn how to make content, right? Another example or examples are I used to see these people sitting on the outside and around the campfire playing these tunes, all these little riffs and everything else. And I go, wow, does that ever sound nice? Well, again, they're not at the campfire, right? They didn't replay that at the campfire. They played it in a controlled environment, plugged in, and then they made the video to match it. Nowadays, unfortunately, you see it with all the big bands, especially the classic rock bands. They're going out on tour, and they're basically playing to backing tracks. Now, there's a channel here on YouTube that I would really recommend you checking out. It's called Wings of Pegasus. Okay, it's an English fellow. He's a musician, and he analyzes all of, the Taylor Swift concerts, the Metallica concerts, the blah concerts, the blah 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 blah, and he shows you. I'm not going to get into it here because it's quite complicated, but he shows you what he's doing, and he shows you that they played, say, 6 shows in 10 nights, and every single show, all the musicians were perfect, exactly the way they were in every show, regardless of the size of the stage, the size of the concert venue, any kind of weird things I had to deal with. This secondhand equipment, we had to use the backup bass player, had to use his backup bass. All these things that can happen, but everything was perfect. Why? Well, unfortunately, it's not outright, what do you call, lip syncing, but they're playing to a backing track. So if I play these chords, you only can judge me on these chords that I'm playing because that's what you're hearing. If I'm playing to a backing track and I'm doing this, I could make mistakes. I could miss a chord. I could hit a chord, and it'll get drowned out by the good music coming through. So I don't have to be as perfect. And that's what a lot of these bands are doing. They're singing and playing to backing tracks. So if the guy doesn't want to play, forgets his lyrics or something, he doesn't want to play, the music plays on. And anyways, it's called Wings of Pegasus. It's a great little YouTube channel, and uh, you'll see what I'm talking about. And then things start to make sense. Oh, okay. So look, this is all harmless stuff, right? It really is. I really don't give a damn if somebody uses GarageBand and makes their stuff sound, but I don't care. Whatever floats your boat. But the problem is that it affects new guitar players because it leaves an impression that this is what you're supposed to sound like now. And you're not. And you may never sound like that person in the video. Okay? What you really want to gauge yourself to are two things. If you have someone that is good and you can watch them play natural and raw and be able to compare yourself to them, that's what you want. There's no trickery involved. The other thing is to compare yourself to you. And the only way to do that is to record yourself. And that can be as simple as just putting your phone up. You got to figure out the right distance. If you're too close to your phone, even good iPhones and everything, it's too much coming as the input and it can change and distort the sound. Sometimes it's the speakers going out aren't very good on these phones and it might not sound great. But my point is you record yourself every whatever, at once a week, once a month, whatever you decide. And you use that to compare yourself. So month number 2, you record yourself playing the same chord progression as month number 1 or the same song. And then you listen to them. And that's how you track your progress. Right? It's so important. I quit because I felt inferior is one of the reasons, all balled into one, right? I was learning stupid things that I shouldn't be. Whatever. It was a colossal array of mistakes I made when I tried to teach myself because I just didn't know what I was doing. So, but the fact of watching these people and thinking, oh my God, like my guitar doesn't sound like that. Like I'm done. I can't do this. That's not right. Okay? So keep that in mind. Don't get fooled by a lot of this trickery that you see online. And I'm not talking about just guitar teachers. I mean, whatever it is, right? And now, to be honest, with this AI thing, you don't know if you don't even know if they're real anymore. I mean, all right. So, all right. Oh, thank you, Angelica. So yeah, I can't play um, songs because I like to keep this video up and it gets copyrighted and all that kind of stuff. That's why I don't really do that. I play little snippets when I think I need to and here and there, but if you play too much of a song or whatever, it can trip a copyright, and then I got to either edit it out or get rid of the video or whatever. So that's why. Sorry about that. Um, That's why I use chord progressions in all my videos instead of songs. I just got tired of it, having to deal with it. Or on my lives, I mean, sorry, is I just, it just works better that way. That's why. So, but yeah, that's a point. That was my last point that I wanted to make today, for people just starting out. Okay. And of course, if you're wondering who I am, all this time, I've noticed some new names popping up, and we get new people every week. Look, I'm a nobody. All right. So let's not get all excited here. I'm not some professional guitar player that's giving you all my 30 years of insight. I'm not that. I'm just someone like you that has taught myself to play guitar. Now, like I said earlier, I don't know everything. I've looked at everything, and I've realized that I don't need to know all my diminished chords, and I don't need to be able to play all my triads, and I don't have to rely on bar chords, and on and on and on. Okay? So I weeded out what I didn't want, and believe me, that list was huge. And then as I just kept it simple, playing my open chords, learning songs and chord progressions, then what happened was, instead of just saying, okay, I'm happy now, I know how to play 30 or 40 songs, and I can entertain around the parties and stuff like that. But what happened was, I wanted to learn more, right? And then, uh, when you want to do something and then you have the guitar foundation to do it, you can learn it like that. Like, I picked up triads, the ones that I play, I picked them up in 2 nights, kind of thing, and I had it all figured out. If I had started that when I, you know, 3, 4 months into my guitar journey, well, I would have never got through. I would have never been able to do it. Same with bar chords, right? I can play any bar chord I want right now. Some better than others, but I can play them. If I had tried and concentrated on that, which I did too early in my journey, I would have quit, because it would have just soured me. Because again, for what I talked about. So I'm just like you, and I just found a way that it worked for me. And within months, like a few months of starting this new way of learning guitar, man, my song repertoire tripled. I went from like knowing 10 or 12 songs to knowing like 40 songs. Okay. And I was able to learn a song in a day. No problem. Right. Because I knew how to play the chords. There's no sense, if you don't know how to play the chords, well, you're going nowhere. So if I only know how to play G, C, D, and A minor and E minor, then I start out by learning songs that have G, C, and D in them, or E minor, C, D, or G, or all of the chords in them, whatever, right? Absolutely perfect. Slash, that's exactly my point. Is whatever your goal was when you picked up this guitar, your your goal should be to fulfill that. Whether it was just playing a few songs around a campfire, or joining a band and making a living, or supplementing your income with your abilities. And it's all possible at any age. I'm just saying that most of us don't even think like that. Like, we want to play because we love it, we have fun, we want to play songs, but if it leads somewhere for you, fantastic. And that's exactly the point. And along the way, you are going to run into people that will look down at you because they're in bands and they're playing professionally, or their version of professionally. And that's fine. You just ignore those people. Who cares? They're going to criticize you for using a capo, or not playing bar chords, or doing this or doing. But those kind of people are going to criticize you for everything, no matter how good you are. So don't worry about stuff like that, right? Worry about things you have control over, and make sure that you're in this for the right reason. So I know I surpassed my goal, because my goal was to sit around a campfire with friends, have a few wobbly pops, and play Freebird. Okay? Like that, that kind of stuff, right? And I fulfilled that a long time ago. And then I realized that, hey, you know what? This is pretty cool, you know? And lastly, yeah, that last point there, Randy, about therapy, absolutely. You know how many times I have come home just from a horrible day or something happened or whatever, and I just sit down, I pick up my guitar, and I just sit there and I just have to go, I just have to do this. Right? And all of a sudden things are better, you know? And that's what it's all about. Okay? So if you want a fast track to be a professional musician, I'm probably not your guy, but that's who I am, right? I have a little channel here. If you think I can help you, go through my library. If you think it's worth it, do the subscribe thing. It doesn't cost you anything. And that tells YouTube that I might be a somebody, but even though I'm not, right? And that's it. That's what this is all about, right? Um, if I build a following, I can make a little bit of money. I don't charge anything. I've had requests for lessons and stuff. I have no problems doing it. I just haven't done it yet. I'm not doing this so that I can lure you somewhere and take all your money. Not at all. I do have a little thing on my site that says buy me a coffee. Many of you have. Thank you so much. It's much appreciated, right? But that's it, right? So, you know, the most important thing is everything we've just mentioned. Is you have reasons why you want to learn this instrument. Don't let a poor judgment in strategy derail you like me twice, right? Listen. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't. But listen to me. Do yourself a favor and weed out all those complicated things in your first 6 months, 7 months, a year playing guitar. You won't need them. When you get to the point that you realize, hey, I need those things, then what happens is you've built up, remember, the guitar foundation, left hand, right hand, ears, and brain, all working together, because that's what this is. You can know every bar chord in the book, you can know every triad in the book. If you can't play them smoothly, seamlessly, you could know every scale in the book. I know people that know every single scale there is to know. Hell, when I started out, I was learning scales that I'd never heard of and I've never used since. The Mixolydian mode of something and the Aeolian this and the blues that and okay, whatever. It's not going to make you a good guitar player if you can't play it. And in order to play scales and make them sound like little melodies and in order to do that, you got to be able to play the notes properly. You got to have the dexterity, you got to have the rhythm, you got to be a little bit musical. You know, you got to play the notes properly. You got to know where the notes that you can play and what you can't play. You got to know all that stuff. Right? It's not enough just to know, hey, there's my A minor pentatonic. What's next? Sorry, doesn't work that way. Okay? If you know all your chords, but you can't play them well, they sound terrible, and you can't transition to them, whether they're bar chords or they're triads, and you can't transit, you're going to sound like crap. So it's not how much of this stuff you force yourself to memorize and learn. It's not that. It's how much of this stuff can you play really well? That's the question. And that's the answer. If you only play 3 or 4 chords, but you play them amazing, I'm going to tell you, you will outplay all these clowns that know everything but can't play anything. Okay? Because they were told or they're taught the more you learn, the more you know, the better you'll be. Well, that's true if you can actually play all these things properly. Until then, it's going to hurt you, not help you. But that's me. You know, you tell me if I'm right. So that's right, Slash. Little by little, get rid of the pressure, get rid of the tension, right? I've talked about tension, just the way we grab our guitar and when we're learning and we pound those, get those bar chords, tension. Get rid of that. It takes a while. But when you're, what do they say? Dance like nobody's watching, right? So when you're dancing like nobody's watching, it's amazing how good you can sound. All right, everybody. Again, my name's Ray. If you like what you hear, you think I can help you, hit the subscribe button. It'll tell you when I go live. And we do every Thursday. We'll probably keep it up as you know, until I see it dropping off, because the summer everybody has things to do and people are away and all that. But for now, um, uh, every Thursday, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, North America. I'll tell you what, I'll play a truncated version of Freebird, all right? But very, very truncated, because I don't want to trip the copyright. But if I live here tomorrow, will you still remember me? 'Cause I'm as free as a bird now. Ba 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 ba. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. There you go. Just to give you an idea. Simple song to play. G D E minor, G D E minor, F C D. That's it. All open chords. Yeah, thanks, Slash. And Slash or anybody else out there, if you guys have your own channels, um, let me know, and I will. If you have content or whatever, I will put a link in my posts. Let all of our following know about you and post your stuff. If you guys want to show off your prowess and how good you play and everything else, absolutely. Um, had a young fellow, there's a few actually, but West was one, rings a bell. Um, Red Phoenix, I believe, played other instruments. You know, there's people, other musicians learning guitar, and there's just people that, like I do, I might watch someone who maybe I'm not interested in but I just like the way they approach things or whatever, and I do the same. So, uh, if welcome aboard. I usually post shorts almost every day. Sometimes I take a few days off, and I try to post a long video at least once a week or so. There's a bit of a gap when I just posted this one yesterday. It was a bit of a gap because I was trying something different, and I wanted to. There was more editing involved and stuff and everything, and um, but yeah, I mean, thanks for your subscribe, and I'm always here if you have any questions. And again, if you want to show off your skills, right? Love to show you off. Let me know, and I'll put a posting with a link to your channel on my page. Uh, the solo. Oh, the solo is very difficult, in my opinion. We're talking, I believe, Ed King was the guitar player um, that wrote that solo, and it's pretty robust. I don't know if they solo in G. I don't know if they solo in G. They might solo in G. I'm not sure. I'm going to check that out for you, because I really don't know what the solo is. I've never played it because I'm a one-man entertainer. So when I play Freebird at gigs, I put it into a 2 and 3 song medley, usually with Baby I Love Your Way by Peter Frampton, and I throw in Knocking on Heaven's Door. But they're all the same kind of chord structure, and that's the way I do things to avoid songs where they do have like these big long solos. Because really the only way I'd be able to do it is if I ran it on a looper pedal, and that's not always convenient to do. So I have played a Freebird solo listening to the backing track of Freebird. It's not the same solo as what you hear on the record, but it works. I just can't remember if it was in G or not. I tend to think that it was, but I also tend to think that I read somewhere where Ed King has always said everybody thinks it's in whatever, G, but it's not. It's in, and I kind of think that, but anyways. The one I melt Freebird into is I think they're actually the same. Hold on. Shadows grow so long before my eyes. Then it goes to the C, and they're moving across the page. Suddenly the day turns into night, far away from the city. But don't hesitate. Oh, you love now. It won't wait. I think I might have missed a chord there. I think it went hesitate. Oh, you love. I think it goes up to the E or something, but that's I mix the two together, right? And then I mix in Knocking on Heaven's Door because it's got that same thing. It's got the G, D, goes to the A minor. And then I come back for the chorus to, oh, baby, I love the way. So this is exactly like Knocking on Heaven's Door. Da, 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 night away. Hey, mama, put this down. Right? That's what I do. So. I just taught myself how to play left-handed. I know some of you may not realize I'm not a lefty. Okay, it's because ever since March 1st, somebody updated. I don't know if it's the iOS. I use Apple, or it was YouTube. Somebody updated, and all of a sudden I got flipped around. And yes, I've done my settings. I use iPad Pro to not mirror the camera or whatever it is. It just all right. E minor. That's exactly right. You're right. And the reason I was thinking that is G and E minor are related, right? And I kind of remember saying to myself, it's not in the, like most people think that if you play the first chord, that's what key a song is in. And overwhelmingly, majority of the time, you're right, because they use the number one chord of the key to start things off to set up that resolve home thing. But it doesn't always work that way. And not only that, sometimes the solos are in a different key. And I remember saying to myself, it's in a different key, but it's all relative, like it's related. G and E minor are relative minor and major. So you're right. Thanks as always, Jeff. Mexican night means it's a night off for the chef because you're pretty much looking at everything as pre-made, right? I mean, you've done all your, I'm not sure what you're doing, but everything is just, it's all pre-prepped and ready to go. But anyways, I don't know much about that stuff. All right, everybody. So again, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next week. And remember, don't get discouraged. Keep it simple, right? Play within your means, right? And let things develop, let things evolve, let things happen, right? Got to get the strumming for this. I don't play this song, but it's all about the strumming. We don't need no education. We don't need no dark sanctum in the classroom. They leave those kids alone. Teacher, leave those kids alone. All in all, we're just another brick in the wall. A good learning song for you? Knocking on Heaven's Door, Bob Dylan. Okay. G. Mama, D to the A minor. Stay on that. Repeat. G, D, C. Stay on that. G, D, A minor. G, D, C. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Never changes. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Okay? Great song to learn as a beginner. It has just that one chord change from A minor to C the second time around. You can play it with just your thumb. Mama, take this badge from me, and I can't use it no more. It's getting dark, too dark to see. It feels like I'm knocking on heaven's door. What do I think about it? I was never really a big Nirvana person, but you couldn't help but like those main hits that they were pumping out. I'll tell you what I liked about it. Okay, and when you think about this, I don't know if it's still happening, but when I was growing up, music seemed to change at the end of every decade, right? So we had the folky kind of twangy guitar, the Byrds and the three people there, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and we had Young and all that. And it gave way to, for the most part, glam rock, glam metal, right? Hair bands, a lot of guitars, a lot of, a lot of humping the microphones, Aerosmith and all these 70s bands, Deep Purple, and on and on and on. Okay. Then towards the end of the 70s into the 80s, I remember turning on my car radio and hearing Rock Lobster, down, down, dun, 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 dun. The B-52s. They were completely different. A guy named Gary Newman, here in my car, I feel safest of all. It was different. It was synthesizer. It was Blondie came out. They sounded different, right? And then at the end of the 80s into the 90s, well, there was a different thing happening. I guess they call it grunge or whatever. So I give complete props to anyone or any band that can change things. We've done it with, we've seen it 20 years ago with rap when it first came out. What is this? Now you hear it from every car, white, black, oriental, it don't matter, man. Everybody's listening to that kind of stuff. And then they mixed the two for a while. And then you had Eminem and then, so to answer your question, I'm actually right now just reading Dave Grohl's book. I think it's called It's a Call. And I'm just at the beginning. He was heavily influenced by punk rock. So I haven't got too much into the story. But to answer your question, Even though I may not be a Nirvana fan, I do admire and respect that he or they were able to create like a whole new genre, man. Like they came when they came out, all those bands like Motley Crue and for the most part Guns N' Roses and all these that the end of the 80s kind of stuff into the 90s, he made them sound obsolete. And literally, like I know reading Motley Crue's book, I mean, they got to the point they were playing for 15,000 people, and then Nirvana came out and they showed up and they had like 3,000 people at their concert. So it literally changed things. And that's what I respect and admire about someone like Kurt Cobain or Nirvana, right? Harry Mike Humpers. Actually, yeah, Mr. Super Sidewinder is another guy. He's probably been lurking or he just joined us. When I had offered some of you, Slash, for example, if you wanted to, if you have your own channel and you wanted to post something, let me know. I'd be happy to show everybody what you do. I think I did the same for Mr. Super Sidewinder. He has some good stuff on his channel. If you check my posts, it used to be called Community tab, but I think it's just called Posts now. That's where I post little tidbits of information, and I posted his link to his channel. Um, well, I the approach to this. Okay, first of all, that's a little bit of a different sort of. Uh, I don't write that way. I don't write with power chords, and that's what a lot of that stuff was, right? A lot of his stuff was. It seemed to be, or at least that's how they interpreted it and played it. Was the whole power chord thing. Um, and I'm not that type. I don't play much electric guitar, and when I do, it's really just I'm trying to work like I just like to play notes per se. Um, so I really don't have much of an opinion. I mean, look, at my age, I've seen it all. I mean, I've seen, when the Beatles came out, that was overwhelming, right? That was hugely overwhelming to hear their songs and the chords they played. And then, when the synthesizer era came out, what are they playing? Well, they're still playing the same chords. They just sound differently and on and on. And I think with Nirvana or or bands like that that are heavily, electric per se, you could probably throw Led Zeppelin in there. I mean, they just took basic blues songs and turned them into electric extravaganzas, right? For which they were sued a few times for. Um, but so a lot of times it's not, okay, how would I say this? It's not the chord structures or how they wrote the songs, it's how they made them sound through the use of technology. So let's go back the other way. If you really want to talk about songwriting and the eloquence or sophistication of it, take a look at someone like Paul Simon. Now, I don't know how old you are. If you're younger, you may not have even heard of him, but Simon and Garfunkel, but Paul Simon on his own, for example, when you hear them talk about songwriting, it makes the average guitar player like, what? Like, what's this guy talking about? Because it is in depth. When you talk about things like, playing a chord but putting an A or an E flat in the bass instead of, maybe it was supposed to be a B, but because he put the E flat in the bass, that was able him to transition to this other kind of triad or chord that made the whole song. And you start hearing that and taking a look at it, and you start thinking, oh my God, like, I thought I was pretty good. I could stitch together G, C, D, and A minor and write some lyrics, and I go, I've just written a song, but this is to the next level. So, I don't know if Nirvana did that for me, but in all honesty, I've never been in depth. I've never taken a deep dive. All right. I'm not sure who the Jewish guy is, but is that me? I don't think I'm not a Jewish guy, but if you want me to be, that's fine. So, right? So, yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you know, we've all grown up and heard songs, even now, three chords, two chords. I remember when I first heard Achy Breaky Heart. I mean, two chords. You know, like, how do you do that? One of the first songs I ever learned to play was this. Two chords. Yeah, for sure. I think there's already been that already. If you look at the rappers and where that part of that kind of music has gone, you definitely, yeah. I think if anything, it happens quicker now because people's attention spans, because of we had no internet back in the day. You listened to what they gave you, and for you to find new music, you had to go to a record store and spend hours going through everything, listening in the booth, private booth, so you could see if it's something you like. You read magazines. That was it. Okay, now at the tip of a finger, I can go through Spotify for an hour and find 1,000 new songs and new bands, right? So I kind of think that's being done in some cases every week. Someone's coming up with a new way to present the music. Um, where before it seemed that someone came out with something and everybody piled on and did the same thing for a number of years, right? And and then all of a sudden, someone, whether it was someone who reinvented themselves or someone new, came on with something completely different, and people went, "Oh my God, what was that?" And it caught on, and then it went. Everybody jumped on that bag. And I remember I was old enough to remember the disco era, and I mean, you had, yeah, I mean, back in the day, believe it or not, Rod Stewart was a stud. He was in the Small Faces. He had a great solo career. He was considered to be a rocker. You went to a Rod Stewart concert, like he was a rocker, right? And all of a sudden he puts out "If You Want My Body and You Think I'm Sexy," and he's got this beat, this disco beat. Look at the Rolling Stones, man. Like their whole album "Miss You" in 1978, but written and recorded in 77. Like that was their disco album. Kiss, "I was made for loving you, baby." That was disco. That was their version of disco. Everybody jumps on the pile and rides it to oblivion. And then at the end of that era, what did we get? We got, as I mentioned earlier, we got the B-52s, we got Randy Newman, we got Blondie, we got the Velvet Underground, we got all these things that were different, right? And, you know, the Boomtown Rats, who remembers that one? I don't like Mondays. I don't like Mondays. Something like that, right? Okay, that was considered way different back in the day. So, you see what I mean? Uh, and but now I think that's just happening over and over, right? Yeah, yeah. And poor jazz. Jazz has been around forever, and it never seems to get anywhere. Like it's just. It reminds me of a joke I always tell when someone asks me to play jazz. I say, "What's the difference between a jazz guitarist and a rock and roll guitarist?" Well, the jazz guitarist can play 100 chords in front of 50 people. The rock guitarist plays 3 chords in front of 10,000 people. So I don't know, but anyways, thank you so much for joining. Gotta go. We're running way late today, and thanks again. And we'll see you next week.
But the biological difference between overweight and lean people.
Really Want a kitten but need to persuade someone? IAMS I Want a Puppy/Kitten Studios. Show them how awesome life could be with your new furry friend. Create your movie today.
Where are we here?
An Enercare
Wow, a lot
expert
of
can
commercials
find
in
ways
this
to make
thing.
any home run smoothly.
Jeez, it's
From
getting
heating
bad.
and cooling.
Welcome to Subfunk
See you guys.